Now, last year's art prize was, as all of you know, the inaugural use of art prize at Grand Rapids as the venue for art prize. And it seemed to go off pretty good. It took a lot of work, a lot of effort from everybody involved. Nobody knew for sure what was going to happen. So we're trying to develop things into a smoother transition so we can keep going with this art prize, bringing people into town and make it successful. Along with that, at the entry, you got information sheets and a pre and post survey sheet. The pre and post survey sheet, I would like, you could fill it out the pre-side. You haven't seen the presentation, that's for the post side. So that we know where you're at as far as education is on the separate departments that we have. And then on the post side, if you have any comments of things we need to improve, please feel free. Now, as far as the fire department goes, I'm going to do the presentation on the fire department on basic things you're going to need to know about your building, keeping it safe, what we're going to look for when we come through doing an inspection, and give you some helpful tips on things to avoid, and lead you into our presentation from Joel, the back of the room. I forgot to introduce Joel. He's counterpart on that. He made this handbook as a quick turn reference chart for everybody. As the department's listed, if you have a question on anything, look for your tab that you're in. If you got a question on the fire department, our phone numbers are here. Turn the page. You have more information about permits, permitting, all the way down the line. He's going to go further in depth in this. As he gets going, I'm going to hand out a sign-up sheet for anyone that wants a copy of this easy flip chart. Because of budget, we have to cut back on how much we can do. Anyway, back to the presentation. The Grand Rapids Fire Department is always trying to be as customer friendly as possible and help the art community to grow as much as they possibly can. As you can see from one of the photos, one of our fine firefighters really enjoys his art. But along with that, and as we know from last year, our prize brought quite a large crowd of people into town, which is great for business. But the fire department, we have to look at things from the worst case scenario. What happens if something goes wrong with this large crowd of people? Mr. Glass guy, if he slings his glass around and burns somebody, or if his fire pod is too close to something and catch fire, we need to know about it. We also need to know if you're having an art display being constructed inside your building, what's being constructed out of it, how it's being constructed. From our part helps prevent things like this. Now granted, this art display was on the outside. The artist, while he was working on it, there we go, had a little accident. Let's imagine if this was inside your building, what would happen? Your building would be shut down, his art would be ruined, and it would be a bad day for all involved. Still show up and put the fire out, but it would stop you from having business at your business. For anyone who's not sure how fast fire can spread, this is a NISTA video. They actually do this to test fire-safe construction. This is a regular cube, started in the trash can, filled with paper. Now, everybody's here has seen movies from Hollywood, where the firefighters run through the fire, his turnout jacket's wide open, there is no smoke, and he's rescuing people right and left. Well, that's not reality, that's Hollywood. The reality here is, we're now 2 minutes into it, and you can see that black toxic cloud on top is slowly starting to form at the ceiling level, and it's going to come down to about 2 feet off the ground. Inside that black cloud is arsenic. Anybody know what you use arsenic for? Kill rats. Cyanide, another killing rat. Carbon monoxide, that's just a odorless, colorless gas that you smell and makes your brain kind of go loopy. Makes your heart race. Makes you breathe in more. Let's think about that. Now breathing in more of this toxic smoke. We're only 3 minutes into it. How far down is that cloud? Top of the fuse. In another minute, you're going to see the carpet start to smoke. That means the carbon temperature is about 650 degrees. What temperature do we cook a turkey at? About 350, 325. When you open up that oven door, you get blasted heat in your face, right? Kind of hard to breathe it. At 650 degrees, it's almost impossible to breathe. Plus then you got arsenic and cyanide and carbon monoxide, which makes you want to breathe more. There's that toxic cloud. See the smoke that I was telling you about? The ceiling temperature right now is well over 1,200 degrees. Generates a point now called flashover, where everything spontaneously combusts because it's so hot. This is why we as a fire department look at worst case scenarios. Nobody would come out alive. It's only been 5 minutes. Any questions on how fast the fire can lead up things? Fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. So it starts out this big, twice as big, 4, 8, 16, 32 every 30 seconds. Okay? We don't want something like that happening. So, let's talk about the event and your space. Now, we have a set of rules, the fire department, building department, zoning, everybody else has to follow, and they're reactive rules. When something happens, new rules get made. Anybody remember the Rhode Island fire where it killed hundreds of people in a bar? Right after that, they changed the rules for the state. Now all assemblies are sprinkled. Sprinkling saves lives. About that same time when that fire happened, there was a fire in Ohio. Same situation in a barn. Fireworks set off the fire. Sprinkler system suppressed the fire. There was one twisted ankle out of that whole fire. Not a bad response. Anyway, enough of the history. Building owners that have art displays in their building need to expect large crowds of people. You never know where that winner or the top 10 is going to end up. It's going to end up in your space. You have to plan for it. That's why you're going to be viewed as a crowd manager. Crowd managers have a lot of responsibilities. This is an explanation of what a crowd manager is. The planned movement of an assembly of people. You have to assess all aspects of your venue. That means you walk through the whole place and make sure it's safe. These are the things that you're going to need to know about and need to look at to make sure that they are safe so that nobody gets hurt, injured, or killed. I'll go into more depth in that. Don't get overwhelmed. There is a lot to a crowd manager, but break it down to the business owners so that it's easier to understand, and Joel's going to extend a little explanation on that also. You are responsible to monitor the crowd and make sure you don't get overcrowded. You don't want people getting trampled at the door. We've already seen what happens there. You got to make sure the path from where they are to the door is clear. That's your exit path. And you need to educate anybody that's under your employ to keep their area clean, keep the exits clean, and just think smarter about being safe. What we're going to look for, we're going to come in and we're going to do inspections. That's what the building fundamentals are. I'm going to go through each aspect so you know what we're going to look for so that when we come in to do an inspection, it goes as smooth as possible. And if you have questions, raise your hand. If you need to call the fire department, phone numbers in the book, don't do the 911 thing because they'll be a little irritated if you just have a question. But give us a call. We're happy to answer questions and work through situations before they become problems. Space needs exits. That's pretty obvious, right? You get in, you got to get out. If you have more than 50 people in a space, you need to have 2 exits. Right? Pointed out in the beginning, we got 1 on each side. Be clear and accessible, maintained. The door has to swing in the direction of egress. What that means is if you're inside the space, you can't stop at the door and back up. You swing out. That makes it an exit door. That makes